and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see current affairs of 11th March 2025. So let's get started with our discussion and let us see the important topics which are appeared, and I'll give you a detailed thing like how you have to make the notes and which point is important from prelims and which point is important from mains and interview, and even I will be giving you insights regarding how the question can be framed from prelims point of view and mains point of view as well. So follow our channel daily, don't skip this video at any cost. Okay, so watch till end so that you will be getting lots of insights regarding how you have to make the notes and even how you can select the article. Everything I will be giving you the greater insights. So if you see the first article, guys, so there is one interesting image which appear in the front page of your Hindu, and here I took this image from International Edition. So actually this image which is depicting about one important tribal community of Nilagiris. So here if you see this, it is saying that Badagas of Nilagiris celebrating Yada Swami festival in Kotagiri in Tamil Nadu. So whenever you're seeing this kind of festivals, yes, you have to know about that festival and you have to know about this community for sure. So what are the keywords? Keyword here is you have to see about this Badagas and the place where they are located in Nilagiris, right? In Nilagiris. So from which subject you will be seeing about this Badagas? So in your GS paper 2 and paper 1, in GS 1 and paper 2, you will be reading about this topic called as society and social issues. So in that society and social issues, so these tribals, they are also part of our society, right? And even in your anthropology, if you are taking anthropology as your optional, in paper 2, chapter 6, 7th, 8th and 9th, so these 4 chapters are related to tribals. It is called as tribal anthropology. So from that also it is very important. Okay, so here what you have to see, you have to see about some basic facts regarding this Badagas. Okay, and they said, and they showed image that they are in this Nilagiris in Tamil Nadu. So apart from that, in which state these people will be there, and you have to see about their society and their festivals and their economy, everything. Okay, so in tribes normally we will be having different tribes. For example, there are some tribes they dependent on hunting and gathering societies. Some tribes they dependent on pastoralism. Some tribes they depend upon agriculture. So you have to see which types of tribes they belongs to. And normally you have to see about what are the problems of these tribals in India. And you have to see what are the schemes of Ministry of Tribal Affairs regarding upliftment of these tribals. And next, you have to see what are the measures can be taken. So if you see all these things, then you will be doing your thing from mains and as well as prelims. So prelims you will be getting just facts from this Badagas. Okay, so how you can expect a question from this area? So here in prelims you may expect pair based question. They may ask consider the following pairs. They give tribe on one side and they will give state on another side. So this Badagas in Tamil Nadu. Like that other tribals, for example Chenchus. Okay, for example Mundas, Gonds, Santals. So like that they will give the tribe and associated state. And you have to identify in which state they are located. Okay, so for this in anthropology, how you have to tackle this kind of things is you have to take map, political map of India, and you have to see in which states which tribes are there. Okay, if you make that detailed notes, then you can tackle this kind of questions even from prelims also. And Nilagiris. So Nilagiris is famous for what? Why this Nilagiris is important? So whatever the Western Ghats we have and Eastern Ghats we have, it will be meeting at this Nilagiris. And this Nilagiris, which is very much rich in environment and ecology and biodiversity. And we have lots of tiger reserves, wildlife sanctuaries and as well as national parks in this region, and you have to see this thing. This is important from your environment and ecology and as well as GS paper 1 geography point of view. So let us see some facts regarding these Badagas now. So these Badagas, they are indigenous community primarily present in this Nilagiri hills of Tamil Nadu. And they are one of the largest indigenous group in Nilgiris. So in Nilgiris, we can see this tribe the most. And these people, they are very much unique in their language, in their custom, and in their tradition. And as I said, they were pastoralist and agriculture. They are not hunting and gathering. They are not dependent on hunting and gathering. But pastoral is nothing but they will rear cattle. And they will do even agriculture. They will grow crops like millets, potatoes, and tea. And what is the language? So language is Badaga language. So normally in India, languages are divided into 4 classes or 4 families that you will be studying in your anthropology. So what are they? First one is Indo-Aryan, next one is Sino-Tibetan, Dravidian, and Austro-Asiatic. So they speak language which is related to Dravidian language. It is very much closely related to Kannada. And they have very rich oral tradition, folk songs, etc. And the traditional houses of these Badagas, they are called as hatti. Hatti. And next one is we can see patrilineal society. That means nothing but male dominant societies will be there in this Badagas. And what are the clans? Clans are all called as Urus. Okay. And apart from this Badagas, in this region, in this Nilgiris, other tribal people will be also living together. So which are those tribes? Todas, Kota, Irula, Kurumba. And which kind of worship they'll do? They'll do nature worship and as well as worship to their ancestors. And over time, even these Badagas had been influenced with Hinduism. And even they will pray to God or they'll worship God Shiva. And even they will celebrate one important festival, that is Hettai Habba, which is celebrating nothing but honor for their community's ancestral deity. Okay, so these are some important things that you will be necessary to know all these things. And now let us see the next article. Title says India's second largest arms importer after Ukraine in 20 to 2024, says CIPRI. So this article is talking about which are the largest importers of arms in the world. So actually what is happening in Russia-Ukraine war is happening, right? So which countries are supporting Ukraine? Western countries. They are supporting in this like arms they are supporting and even finances they are supporting, right? So here this article is saying that. So CIPRI came up with a report and this CIPRI will be giving the report. So in that report what they'll say? They'll say about the countries which are importing their arms. So here this article is saying that in the world, the largest country which is importing the weapons or arms is, first one is Ukraine. So if you see here, Ukraine is the largest. So earlier if you compare with this 2015, 19 and 2024, in 2015, 19 was just 0.1 for Ukraine and now it is 8.8. And if you see, second one is India. India imported more number of weapons in 2015 to 2019 compared to now, but even though it is in the second place in the world. And third country is Qatar. Qatar also had been increased at this time. And next one is Saudi Arabia, next one is Pakistan. Pakistan also increased its importing of arms. Okay, now let us see this article, and this topic is important from your GS paper 2, International Relations, and as well as from GS paper 3 under defense, that is from your science and technology, and as well as from internal security also it is important. So now let us see here this article. Ukraine involved in war with Russia from past 4 years onwards. Okay, so in this time actually it became the largest importer of major arms, especially from 2020 to 2024. So this report is calculating the number of arms importing from this 2020 to 2024, but actually war had been started in 2022 and recently third anniversary of this Russia-Ukraine war had been done, right? So in this period from 2022 to 2024, Ukraine became the largest importer of these arms. And when we are comparing with this 2015 to 2019, nearly 100 times there is increasing of imports of arms in Ukraine. And second place, we, that is India, took this second place. Okay, so here you have to know about CIPRI. You may get a question regarding the CIPRI. So what is CIPRI? CIPRI, it is an independent international institute. And this institute which is dedicated to research into conflict and armaments. That is nothing but getting of arms and controlling of arms and as well as disarmament. So when this organization was established? In year 1966, where in Stockholm, Sweden. And actually this report which provides data and as well as analysis and recommendations based on open sources to policymakers, researchers, media, and as well as interested public. So in all these areas they will be focusing on. Okay, so you may get question regarding the CIPRI. Consider the following statements regarding CIPRI. So you have to be very much careful about that. And now let us see the next article. Next article is over 6 lakh cases identified as part of TB control campaign. So on Sunday's article, that means whatever the analysis that we did in Monday's news analysis, I said that is government took up this 100 days TB control program. So there we discussed that only very less number of people had been screened by using X-ray. They are using X-ray for identifying non-TB symptomatic patients also, right? So if you have recalled that thing, then this article is saying that as part of this TB control campaign, around 6 lakh cases had been identified so far. In Sunday's article, they said around 3.6 lakh, I guess. And now they said, yes, we had reached this target of 6 lakhs. But here the target is how many people they have to be screened. Okay, now let us see what is that program. So the name of that program is 100-day TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan, and it is an outcome of the new strategy for early TB detection involving this X-ray screening. We are going for this X-ray, and as well as especially we will go for X-ray analysis of high risk populations such as individuals who are having diabetes and people who are living with HIV infections, and even we are deploying portable, that means easily carryable X-ray machine, and we are conducting door-to-door screenings for both symptomatic people and non-symptomatic individuals, so that we are focusing on advanced diagnostic test, and we are trying to identify multiple people who are not having the symptoms, so like that. So this is about this. So you have to know about what is this TB. So what is this 100 days TB program? And this one is what are the advantages of this program and which kind of technology, that is X-ray, we are using that. So you have to know all these things, and there is a very high chance of getting question regarding this. Okay, now let us see the next article. Title says an India-US trade agreement and the test of WTO laws. So this article already we discussed in our earlier class, right? It is about bilateral trade agreement between India and US. From last 1 week to 10 days onwards, we are discussing this. So it is not at all a new topic, guys. So now let us go on by seeing this. So it is important from your international relations as well as it is important from your economy also. Okay, so let me give you how to make the notes. So you have to write about BTA, that is bilateral trade agreement. So you have to see this topic from GS paper 2 and as well as GS paper 3. From GS paper 2 it is important from IR. From GS paper it is important from economy. Okay, so from IR point of view, you have to see with which countries we have already signed with this bilateral trade agreement. So which countries with which we have this BTA signed already. And next, from economy point of view, we have to see what is this agreement is about, what are the advantages of this agreement, and what are the challenges of this. So if you do this, then you can raise an important details of this BTA related question. Okay, you have to cover all these areas. So already we discussed this thing number of times in our news analysis itself. So now let us see this article. The proposed bilateral trade agreement between India and US is one of the significant development in international trade. So as you all know that trade war like conditions are going on between India and US. So reciprocal tax tariffs which is in news. And even yesterday's class also we discussed that rather than going for reciprocal tariff, we can go for going of a dialogue. So this thing which mainly said from India side, right? So because of this, again this BTA is in news. So now let us see what is this author wants to say clearly. So author is saying that the proposal for this BTA, that is bilateral trade agreement, must be examined through the lens of international trade law. Especially we have to use this GATT and as well as WTO regulations. So as per the legal framework which had already been done in this international trade, so we have to follow that so that we can ensure free, fair and free trade practices, so that obviously we can maintain global economic stability, or else we can't maintain that global economic stability. And next one here is, this most favored nation principle. The most favored nation is if any country which is giving most favored nation to another country, there will be reduced tariff or sometimes no tariff will be there. So actually India used to have this most favored nation category for India for this US. US gave this most favored nation status to India, but it had been revoked or removed. So because of this, what happens? It will be also leading to distortion of trade or improving of sanctions and tariffs. So we have to come up with an agreement which should favor that one country over another could undermine the multilateral trading system. That means, yes, we can also get this most favored nation status for India once again from USA, so that we can reduce this impact of tariffs on India, so that we can improve the trade between India and US. So this is one idea. And next one here is, yes, if you are signing this BTA, that is bilateral trade agreement, we are also going to have some economic benefits for sure. For example, we can have a good exports and imports, good forex reserves, investment will be increased, economic stability will be increased, inflation can be decreased. So here, yes, BTA is having lot of economic benefits. Apart from that, we have to also comply with the legal things like GATT and as well as WTO. So we have to comply with WTO laws also, so that we can balance between economic strategy and as well as compliance of a law. And this one is, this article is also says that yes, we can go for an interim approach now, so that we can reduce the tariff burden on our country. So if you want to finalize this BTA, it will be taking a lot of time. So before that itself, we have to go for signing off some interim agreement, so that we can ensure there is economic stability and proper trade is happening between India and US. So these are the things that mainly said here. Okay, that's it. And now, what are the advantages of this BTA? As I said, the first one is we can improve foreign investments. So because of the signing of BTA with this US, obviously we can improve investments from US firms, so that we can increase our domestic industry's capacity and as well as economic expansion. And next one is we can also incentivize our domestic production. So we can focus on the promotion of technology transfers and as well as joint ventures, and we can also improve domestic production as well as innovation. And we can also increase our job creation as well as skill development and employment opportunities we can increase. So these are the things that you have to focus on. And next article, this is talking about obesity in India. Flawed food regulation fuel obesity crisis. So this article written by a pediatrician who is a public health expert. So actually he is saying that what are the food habits we are following in India. So because of that only, that is increasing obesity in India. So recently the data of obesity in India says that 1 in every 4 people in India, they are obese. That means we are having good obese people percentage in India. So because of this, he is especially saying that what are the flawed food habits that we have. So now let us see this article, and this is important from your health point of view from GS paper 2, and this is not at all a new topic. We are talking from last 1 week. Okay, now let us see here. Actually, a pediatrician and a public health expert, he is giving his ideas, and he is saying that especially flawed food regulations are present in our India. So because of this flawed food regulations only, that is exacerbating India's obesity crisis. So here the statistic says that 1 in 4 adults are being obese, and not only obesity but even they are getting diseases like diabetes, or they are in this pre-diabetes cases. They are about to get the diabetes or already they got this diabetes. So here let us see what are the food habits and the food regulations that we have in India. So first important one is, as you know, there is increasing of obesity rates, that is 1 in 4 people are getting this. And if you see the current food regulations, they are not ambiguous, but that they are just subjective. That means, so whatever the regulations are there in India, they are promoting packaged foods rather than promoting healthy foods. Okay, so this article is saying that we have to shape the policies where we should not prioritize this faulty foods. We should prioritize about this public health. So actually, whatever the policies that are present now in this food regulation, they are allowing industry to lobby and they are shaping the policies. They are not focusing on public health at all. They are focusing on the selling of their products and improving of their profits rather than public health. Okay, so that means what are the policies we are having now? They are improving the effectiveness of unhealthy food practices. So we are promoting unhealthy food practices rather than the public health. That is the first point. And this one is misleading rating system. So actually in our Indian nutrition rating system, so it is mainly criticized now because of it is misleading consumers about the health claims of processed food. So everyone knows that if you are eating that is natural thing, that will be more good, more healthy than compared to that of this processed food. Everyone knows that. But whatever the Indian nutrition rating system is there, they are promoting this processed foods. Okay, and we are relying on the stars rather than clear warning labels. So actually uh, in our foods, especially on these packaged foods, they won't give the clear warning labels, just they will be like star rating will be given. So because of this, also because of this seeing stars only we will be buying that, but we will be not seeing what are the nutrition values that are present, like how much salt is present, how much other things like fat is present. So we will be not taking that into account, but we just see about the star rating and we are going to stick that. So this is also one problem. And next one is countries, they are implementing, other countries, especially foreign countries, developed countries, they are implementing very strict warning labels on unhealthy foods. Okay, but we are not following that. We have to take other countries as examples, and now at least we have to implement that. And this one here is, even there are lack of definitions for how much amount of fatty acids, fatty saturated acids, and processed, ultra processed foods should be there. So there is no proper definition of how much amount of fatty acids, high saturated fatty acids will be present, and as well as ultra processed foods will be there. So there is no clear cut definition. So if there is increasing of this ultra processed foods and as well as fatty acids level is more, means it is unhealthy. So we don't have any definitions of the limitations of this should be present in the processed food. So because of this, it is having direct threat to the public health, especially among children. They are particularly vulnerable for the marketing of junk foods, especially children, they want Maggie, children they want noodles, children they want processed foods, and especially Kinder Joy, like that thing. So because of this, ultimately it is harming the children's health. And next one here is, so this article is saying that yes, we need to take some stronger recommendations, stronger regulations, so that we need a law. So if we are getting a proper law regarding the maintenance of the food, then only we can change the dietary habits of the people. And we have to impose more tax on unhealthy foods, and we have to promote healthy and fresh fruits and vegetables. Like that, if government is taking certain laws or certain steps, then only they can implement clear nutritional guidelines so that we can address this problem of obesity, or else this problem will be furthermore increased and it will be having a danger for our future India. So that is the thing which mainly said by this person. So these are the important topics that appear, and actually in our today's paper I didn't find much or more number of articles. There are just 4 to 5 articles which are important, and that too we had discussions in our earlier classes. So these are the important articles that I find. So by this I'm concluding. Thank you so much guys for watching, and please do like this class and share this class to your friends, and do subscribe to Rathore Science Academy. Don't forget.